When it comes to self-improvement, personal development, life satisfaction, or getting a better job, learning how to learn is something we all need to master. You can grow your way out of any difficult situation in life, and learning is the key. That's why we call this video Master Faster, 7 ways to accelerate learning. Let's learn how to train your brain. Before we dive in, let's establish 2 baseline facts. 1, research confirms that learning rewires the brain. But wait, you say, I'm too old to learn. Friends, learning is possible at any age because of neuroplasticity, or the brain's ability to create new connections under the right conditions. The second baseline fact is learning often feels uncomfortable. Well, of course, your brain is rewiring. And who wants to feel like a confused beginner? We like feeling in control and that we're competent, and when we're not, well, that just doesn't feel good, and we tend to avoid what doesn't feel good. We're wired that way. So how do we accelerate this learning process so we can feel competent and all the other benefits of mastery despite the challenges? Well, let's get into the list of 7 accelerated learning techniques that absolutely work to help you master any skill faster. Number 1 is your mindset. Playful, relaxed, curious minds pick up and store information much better than stressed and depressed minds. More specifically, the research confirms that we accelerate learning when we're joyful, when we're actively engaged, when we allow testing things ourselves to see what works and doesn't, and when the learning is socially interactive. That's how we learned as children in the sandbox. It can work when we're older as well. A relaxed yet attentive mind learns faster. Scientists call these brain waves alpha because your mind is slower when relaxed yet attentive. Alpha brain waves are associated with relaxation and concentration. Research confirms that alpha brain waves enhance learning and memory. So relax, yet stay attentive to open up your brain for learning something you value. Mindset also has to do with beliefs. When we expect our learning process to work, it usually does. When we don't expect the process or lack a belief in ourselves, learning slows down. Can you imagine trying to learn a new language while saying to yourself, I don't learn languages easily? If that's your expectation, you won't learn a language very fast. Allow yourself to believe in the process and in yourself. Be curious what you can do. Play with the learning process rather than burdening yourself with can't. Find a way to make it fun, and your mind will open up to a new skill. Accelerated learning tip number 2 has to do with the mind and body. A healthy mind and body that gets enough sleep, exercises regularly, is fed a healthy diet, stays mentally active, and socializes regularly is a mind and body ready to learn. An unhealthy body will get in your way of mastering new skills. Help your mind and body create an ideal environment for learning by taking care of yourself. Exercising your body is exercising your mind. Accelerated learning technique number 3 sounds simple, but when done right, requires some insight from experts and those who have mastered the skill you want to master. The tip is to practice slowly and later increase the speed, of course, depending on the skill. And to do that in a way that's best, practice parts of the skill in an isolated manner, especially those parts that are difficult, and later the skills from start to finish in an integrated manner. So practice slowly, in an isolated way, later integrated. Learning to play a guitar riff is a good example of practicing slowly, especially if the riff is complex. It's best to break it into parts so you practice the difficult parts in isolation, then later play the entire part together. Emergency workers train their skills the same way. They isolate skills and focus their practice there, then later practice scenarios where they integrate these skills into somewhat realistic and integrated ways. Often those who have mastered a skill can tell you which aspects of the skill are best to learn in an isolated way. Skill masters usually know where and when to refine the practice with isolation and integration. Slow practice is key, but accelerated learning approach number 4 involves the way you take breaks while practicing. Breaks are key. America's favorite neuroscientist and neuroplasticity expert, Dr. Andrew Huberman, highlights the need for frequent repetition with a lot of breaks. Huberman says to divide your time into multiple daily practice sessions of limited durations with rest in between. The rates of learning were significantly faster when they injected these short periods of rest. Think of practice in sprints, whether you're learning a new language or playing Bach on the piano. Speaking of rehearsal and practice, tip number 5 involves mentally rehearsing the new skill. Can mental rehearsal be as effective as physical? It can. A study in 2018 confirmed that mental practice and physical movements share a common neural subspace. That's probably why in one study, the group that practiced physically improved at about the same rate as those who practiced mentally. Imagine that. Oh, that's the point. Another reason mentally rehearsing the worst situation is a bad idea. Fear gets your attention, but use your mental faculties to rehearse more of what you want rather than what you don't want. This applies to any skill, be it a language, basketball, guitar, or dance. Mental rehearsal uses similar parts of the brain to physical activity. Therefore, use it to accelerate learning so you master faster. Tip number 6 for accelerated learning technique involves the use of association, especially emotions, to help the brain learn faster. You learn faster when you associate good feelings with the skill you're learning. For example, if you're struggling with learning a new language, yes, of course it feels awkward to speak like a child in the new language when you're perfectly fluent in your natural language. So, how would you use good feelings to learn a language faster? I accelerated my mastery of Spanish when I started to use emotion when learning vocabulary words. Rather than just saying the word gusto, I said gusto con gusto. The more emotion you put in learning vocabulary, the easier it will be. Experiment, play with this. Use emotion to your advantage rather than a barrier to learning. And finally, accelerated learning technique number 7 has to do with the people around you. Social reinforcement is very powerful for learning. It's no accident that child prodigies grow up in homes where they get a lot of support. Those learning new behaviors as a part of their addiction recovery need the right kind of social support or they will relapse. We're wired for social connection, and when it supports the new skill, we try more, we practice more. We eventually master skills with greater ease because of the expectation, support, and rewards we experience from those around us. If you lack support, ask for those around you to help you. If you lack a mentor, find one. If your partner isn't that supportive of your learning process, contract for specific behaviors. Hey, when it comes to practice, I'm asking you to do or not do X so that I'm more likely to practice. The more specific your requests, the more likely they will be to support you. Vague doesn't cut it when it comes to requesting social support for mastering a skill. In summary, learning is essential to living our best life. When we harness these 7 accelerated learning techniques shared in this video, we accelerate self-improvement, personal development, and experience all the benefits that skill mastery provides. If you found this video valuable, please like and subscribe to the Change Capability Institute so others can find this content. Thanks for joining today.